What's up, Samuel?
Órale, Hans.
There we go. There we go. What's up, champ?
What's going on, playa?
Playa.
All right. Did you send it to Ken too?
I did. And that link you sent me is here, right? Like that's the link, the affiliate link, or is it?
Yeah, that's the affiliate link. It says Sam K at the end, I think.
Yep. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, I got it. This is what I'm gonna put in the chat or in the comments. And then I think looks like Kent's on. What's up, Kent?
There you are.
What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey,
What's up, baby? I don't know if you guys have met Kevin. This is Kent. Kent's Kevin. Kevin's my partner in Real Closers, which is a Facebook group we're going live in.
Nice. Nice to meet you, bro.
Likewise, man. I think we met at the closing table. I think the first one you were at.
Got it. Yeah.
Right on, dude. All right, so I'm gonna get this thing going, and then Sam, you gonna lead us off?
Yeah, so Ken, I think we'll just start like asking about your story, which you're awesome at telling, and then dive into scaling, see if any questions come through, and then we'll start to plant the event. We'll have the link in the comments. Anything else?
No, man. I'll just follow your lead. Let's just do it.
All right.
Well, you see this, right? I'm joining the club with you.
Yeah, baby.
Oh.
When did you start that?
About 2 weeks ago. So I got about 4 more hours to finish this one, and then they'll start on the rest of it on the back.
What is it? Can't see it from here.
Let's see right here.
Oh, it's like a time clock?
The time clock, and then I'll have Latin in here, and then all this will be down here as well.
Filigree?
Yep.
Yeah, I love the filigree, dude. Who are you going to?
This guy named Sky. He's got a place called what's it called? Blackheart Tattoo. It's down in University Heights. A guy that he came highly recommended, dude. I did all kinds of research.
Nice.
Hey, Kent, what's the name of your event?
The Scale and Escape Summit.
Scale and Escape Summit. Cool, dude. All right. You guys ready to go?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
You're addicted now, Kent. Those things are addicting, bro.
It's so bad, dude.
Yeah.
The moment I got done, I was like, oh, I'm ready for number 2. Here we go.
Yeah, what's next?
So bad.
That's funny.
And everybody told me it was going to happen, too.
Yeah, it's so bad.
All right, here we go, guys.
All right.
Here we go.
Yep. What's up, Real Closers? I'm excited to be here with you with one of the biggest legends in real estate and business, Mr. Kent Clothier. Kent runs several businesses, but the main shop is Real Estate Worldwide, where they're doing, man, just so much cool stuff. You guys have like over 40,000 properties under management or something crazy like that. You're flipping a bunch of homes. You're getting people into investing. You're scaling and growing like crazy. You're running masterminds. You're running software and tech. Like, dude, you have got it figured out.
Dude, I'm exhausted just hearing you talk about it.
That was a great intro, man.
Oh. But, dude, you know, it's awesome to have you on. We've been friends for a long time and have watched each other do some fun things. Why don't you quickly, for those of us that don't know your story, don't know what you guys do, you've done a lot, and it's really, really impressive, something we can all certainly run from. Why don't you kind of just give us the run through?
Yeah. So as it relates to real estate, I got started in real estate back in 2002, and I started wholesaling back in South Florida, Broward County, Miami-Dade, that whole area down there. And luckily, I had come from a background where I had built a fairly large business before, right? Basically, from the time I was 17 till the time I was 30, I built a company that ultimately ended up being the 7th largest privately held company in the state of Florida, doing roughly $1.8 billion a year. And as fate would have it, I was way too big for my ego was way too big for me. Put it however you want to look at it. I got ran out of my own company. And so fast forward a couple of years after that, and I got, after I landed on my butt and took some really hard licks, landed in real estate, started wholesaling a few deals, didn't know much about it, but I'd had a lot of success in business before. So I was one of the few guys that I knew anyway that was taking wholesaling, which was a hustle, and actually turning it into a business. And so started using data and systems and processes and what have you. And before you knew it, my first year basically flipped 100 houses, made over $1 million. And then one thing led to another. And before you knew it, we had started really flipping a lot of houses very quickly in a lot of different markets. And so fast forward, through just on the real estate side, my family now flips 1,000 houses a year. Last year we actually did 965 houses. So we buy them, we rehab them now, and then we turn around and put a renter in place and flip that as a performing asset to investors all over the world. We manage roughly 6,000 of those properties, give or take, a little less than 6,000, right there in 7 different markets for our clients. So one of the biggest property management companies in Tennessee, and one of the biggest in Texas as well. And all of the systems, all the processes, all the wisdom, all the bumps and bruises, all that, brain damage that we went through in building those businesses, actually produced some pretty, badass systems and processes and very, very efficient automation, which back in 2008, I had my friend at the time, Fan Merrill, over at Fortune Builders, basically pulled me kicking and screaming. He's like, you got to show this to people. And so I started showing it to people. And before you knew it, a whole nother business was growing called Real Estate Worldwide, where now we have roughly 54,000 people that have bought our software and our systems and our training over the last few years. We have our software platform that creates buyer, cash buyer, private all over the world. And then, as you mentioned, as a part of that, then it ultimately ended up into coaching and training and mastermind and all those things. Nothing that we really planned on doing, but in the end, just as we learn more and as we do more and as we become more and more efficient, more and more people want to know how it's done, right? And so we've always been open. I shouldn't say always. We've become open over the last 12 years to sharing what we do, right? And getting away from that scarcity mindset and getting into that abundant mindset. And that has been one of the best decisions we've ever made. And just kind of showing people how it's done. And again, as you kind of pointed out, one thing just continues to lead to another. And we continue to get rewarded for doing that.
That's awesome.
You know what's awesome, dude, is you really are the gold standard in the education that you put out. And it's a lot of people talk about coming from an abundant mindset and serving and giving. Like, dude, I see you do it. You pull back the curtains further than anybody else. I mean, you are the gold standard. You guys have figured it out. And my hat's off to you, because there's not as many people in the space as there should be like you. And it's just worth people knowing that. But what's really cool with all of this, and I might be wrong here, I know you're a hardworking dude, but you're doing 1,000 flips, managing all these properties, all the other businesses you're in. And most of the time on social, I'm seeing you at your house with your family, enjoying your wife and your kids. Like, that is so damn impressive, dude. Like, most of us can't even fathom getting to the point of flipping 1,000 homes or doing 1,000 transactions, but let alone doing it and living the lifestyle that you're living. Like, how is that happening for you?
Well, as the saying goes, if you do it wrong enough, long enough, you'll figure it out, right? And so when I was in business I was really fortunate, dude, that I lost everything when I was 30 years old, right? I was the guy that took a lot of pride in being at the office at 5 o'clock in the morning, not leaving until 8 o'clock at night, first one there, last one to leave, all at the expense of my family. Literally there was nothing more important to me than business. And I loved everything that came along with it, the adoration, all that kind of stuff. And luckily, like I said, I lost all of it. And I figured out just how unimportant all that bullshit is and how fast it can all be gone, that nobody really cared about what I had done. Nobody cared about the cars and the houses. And it could be gone like that. And the only thing that ultimately really mattered was my family, my friends, my legacy, what I had done, right? All those moments that I could never get back with my son. When I remarried and married my wife now, and we've been together 16 years. I got a second lease on life. I have a 13-year-old daughter and I have a 5-year-old daughter. And I have been bound and determined I am not going to make that mistake again. Now, do I certainly slip? Yes, of course. We all do, right? Entrepreneurs, we get all wound up and get going and thing. I mean, I have the most exciting thing I've ever done. I'm literally working on right now a company called Cribs, and it will be the single biggest thing we've ever done. And yeah, I still get sucked down that rabbit hole, but I'm really mindful, or try to be more mindful than I've ever been at any other time in my life, to just stop, get a little perspective, realize how fast it can all be gone, soak it up. Like I'll give you an example. I taught my 5-year-old this weekend. I was just telling somebody in here at the Cribs office that I taught my 5-year-old how to ride her bike this weekend, right? And I was smart enough to think to myself, this will never happen again. I'm never going to teach my kid how to ride a bike again. That's over. And so you just got to be present, dude. I mean, I like I said, I see a lot of people out there talk about hustle, grind. And I agree with all of that to a certain degree, but I also know for a fact, as you pointed out, that you can actually have it all. Like if you will just decide what really matters and what you really want, you can create a balance that, the world's a great place. It'll just kind of get out of the way, but you have to decide what you really want. What I found is that most people don't decide. What most people do is they chase money, they run, and then they look up and they're suddenly trapped by this thing they've created, versus saying, man, that's what I really want, and I'm going to figure out how to get there the way I need to get there so I don't lose myself in the process.
You know what's really interesting is, talking to a lot of successful people like yourself, one of the things that I noticed, you mentioned it earlier, you talked about systems and automation. And for you to be able to have that freedom with your family, with your daughter and your son, without those systems and automation, like, it wouldn't be possible.
Literally, no, you said a mouthful, brother. I mean, it literally would not be possible. I'm a product of people and processes and systems, and quite frankly, getting this right and allowing yourself to let go of stuff that we get caught telling ourselves how a business can't operate without us, or there's some kind of gratification knowing that it all kind of flows through us, and all of that is just total BS that we tell ourselves that keeps us trapped. And so when you kind of start letting go of some of that stuff, that's when all the good stuff starts happening. So you're exactly right. You have to, without people first, and without good systems and processes, then none of it's possible.
So as agents, we deal with those things on a regular basis, right? I mean, as agents, we're the marketing team, we're the accounting team, we're the sales team, we're this, we're that. So for yourself, you mentioned you started doing wholesaling, and you created a really successful business in a short period of time. What were some of those things that you put in place, those key elements of those processes that you put in place that allowed you to step away further along?
I think it all starts with who you surround yourself with, right? I had good, I didn't know it at the time. I didn't call them mentors at the time, but they were mentors, right? I had people around me that had seen me at my highest highs, and then had seen me crash to lows that nobody could even have imagined. And as I'm picking myself up and they're pulling me up, I got a lot of good advice. And some of that advice, one thing in particular I'll never forget is I had, when 2008 hit, my buddy Frank Kern and I were sitting around talking, and he started talking to me about that, man, you can't have the perfect life if you don't understand what you want from the perfect day. And so I really started mapping out what my perfect day looked like, what I really wanted my life to look like. And I'd never done anything like that before. And then through that process and I guarantee if you ask somebody today what they want out of life, they're more inclined to tell you what they don't want. And so understanding, what people say, well, I don't want that job. I don't want to work for that guy. I don't. But very few people can say, this is exactly what I want. This way I want it, right? This is how I want to spend my time. And so it was a really healthy exercise for me to do. And once I did it, I've now shared it thousands of times, but once I did it, then the next part of it was, okay, so now I understand where I want to get to. Where am I now? And how do I map that? And being, the next part was, now, in order for those things to happen, and here's what's the big key, you have to fire yourself as often as you can. And I think that that was a huge breakthrough for me, that I had never heard it put quite like that, that I had taken a lot of pride in, you know, having a lot of things run through me. And, you know, my mentor at the time had told me that, listen, you know, the only way you're going to achieve this thing you want out of your life, where you want to have all this freedom, is to actually create freedom. So stop putting yourself in a situation where everything has to go through you. If somebody else does the job 80% as good as you, who gets that 80% back? You do. So if all you do is just come over the top with that last 20, put your seal of approval on, say, yes, I'm good with that contract. Yes, I'm good with that campaign, or whatever it is, you're winning, because you've fired yourself from all the mundane crap that, yes, is necessary, but it's not necessary for you. And then I had one other thing that a gentleman did to me, and it had a profound effect on me when he asked me what I would do with my, you know, last 168 hours if I was told that I would live only 7 days. And he really walked me through this process of the way my mind works. And you know, I would go off and I was telling him I'd create legacy. I'd create these videos for my kids. I'd do all this other stuff. And what he helped me understand was that all these things that really matter is what I really care about, because that's what those last 168. And he was telling me that, but I'm spending my time, those same precious hours, because I could be in the last 168 right now. He's like, you're spending all this time just doing dumb crap, dumb shit that doesn't really matter, when the most important thing to you is creating legacy, creating opportunity, changing the world, doing these things that really, you know, create an impact on your kids. But yet you're taking this most precious asset you have, one of your last 168 hours, and going and filling out a contract or creating a direct mail campaign or whatever it is. He's like, you have to place a different value on your time. Other people can do those things. If you're able to buy that hour back for anything less than what it's worth, which it is the most valuable asset you've got, right? It's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. If somebody came and tried to buy your last hour, one of your last 168 hours, what would you sell it for? It's not for sale.
No. Yeah.
Priceless.
Right.
So if I can buy that hour back for anything less than priceless, I'm winning. And so I started positioning like that. I'm buying my hours back everywhere.
You know, man, I'm taking like notes like crazy. The interesting thing here, Kent, is all of this awesomeness is tied to removing your ego, right? Like, it's tied to getting yourself out of the way. It's the fact that you actually said, I'm so lucky that I lost it all. Like, everything that I'm hearing, what would the perfect day look like? A lot of times our ego says we need to be in control. We need to do all these things. The ego is what's keeping you doing the shit you don't want to do and convincing you that you should be taking a different road than you are. And what I'm hearing you say is, look, if all of these things are important for you, then you need to fire yourself from the activities that are not and find ways to have them done without you having to do it.
Yeah, you need to buy the hours back, right? You need to make a game out of how, if my hour is worth $1,000, if I can pay somebody else $20 to do that same thing, as far as I'm concerned, I just saved $980 over and over and over and over and over again. I want to do it as much as I can every day, because all those hours come back to me. And then I get the choice. I mean, business is about creating options. It's about creating opportunity. It is not about trapping yourself. And that's what most entrepreneurs end up doing. You know it, I know it, we all see it, is that these, you know, young ladies, young men get going and going and going. And again, the only reason why I know this is because I did it, right? That's why I'm so grateful. I can tell you, when I was 30 years old and I lost everything, and I lost millions and millions of dollars, and I lost my entire world, divorce, you know, I mean, to say this was traumatic for me would be putting it very, very lightly. This was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I had built an empire, right? I was a god in this particular industry, in the grocery industry. And not only did I lose everything, but I burnt every single bridge on the way down. There was no going back for me. And
wow.
So it was extremely, extremely, extremely humbling. And I would not wish it on my worst enemy. But it took me the distance. It took me the time, right? This was 18 years ago, 19 years ago. And so when I look back now, I'm like, thank God that happened to me. But I wasn't thanking God at the time, I can assure you. But now I understand that lesson, right? Is that none of it matters. You have a very finite amount of time here. Create something that matters. Create something that matters to you, to your family, to your community, to whoever it is. but don't get trapped with the, like you said, your ego and believing your own bullshit that somehow, you know, these dumb things that we get all caught up in. So I can go buy the next watch, the next car, the next whatever it is. And nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you flipped 100 houses, 1,000. It doesn't matter. What did you do? How's this going to live on without you? And it's real simple to figure out if you own a business or if you own a job. Real simple. Just leave. I mean, for a lot of people that are watching this, they clearly own a job, but they think they own a business. And I know you guys have seen this, where they tell themselves that the things we're talking about are not really related to them. But it's real simple. If you just leave, just walk away. Walk away for a couple months. And if you come back and the doors are still open, you might actually have a business. If you come back and the doors are open and there's more money in your bank account than when you left, you definitely have a business.
Yeah.
Anything short of that, your ass owns a job. It's all going through you, baby. And it's
That's the truth.
So here's a couple of things. I agree with you, Sam. Ego plays a big role in that decision of letting go. I think another part of it is fear as well, because we're afraid somebody's not going to be able to do it as good as we are. So for me, like I had that challenge, and the way that I was able to overcome that fear was by creating a process that I could rely on, that I knew that I could fall back on, that I knew was the right way to handle a certain situation. Would you agree with that? Like, what do you think?
Totally. You have to have processes. First off, you have to have processes for sure. You have to have KPIs, right? Key performance indicators, where you can clearly see in real time if something is going off the rails. I mean, we know what, leading KPIs, there are certain things in our world, in the real estate world, that must happen for other things to happen. I mean, we only get paid when the transaction takes place, but we clearly know that in order for a transaction to take place, the calls must be made, the appointments must be set, the listings, must be signed. All these things have to happen prior to that. So you have to clearly measure all that stuff, because that's how you, as the person letting go, know sooner rather than later, because you definitely want to know sooner if something's amiss, if something's off, right? So you can do something about it. You can't just walk away and say, okay, you got it, I'm turned over, I'm out. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to have systems. You have to have a good way of measuring, and you have to have good people. You have to be willing to empower people, which I would tell you is probably the single biggest thing.
I totally agree with you there. And this actually makes, you have an event coming up, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but the title of the event is called Scale and Escape. And it's also, I mean, dude, it's like fitting. It's like everything you're talking about is how to scale and escape from the shit you shouldn't be doing. And I'm assuming that these are a lot of the things that you'll be talking about at your event. I'm also speaking there. I'm very excited. But I want to ask you this. You spoke at Closing Table twice, and there was, in both speeches, they were really good. I mean, crowd favorite. One of the common denominators in both your presentations, before I tell you what it is, I think it's going to resonate with the real estate agent crowd a lot. And that's the challenge agents have is analysis paralysis. Everybody has a system to sell them, a lead gen to sell them, a nurture campaign, a magic wand, a red or blue pill. I mean, there's so much stuff that they can buy. One of the things that you always talk about is, instead of going wide, which is buying everything and trying everything, do something that you know can work and go really deep.
Correct.
Data stacking and different things of that nature. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think everybody can walk away with that one concept of going deep as opposed to going wide, which I know almost everyone that's listening is probably doing.
Yeah. So we are, to your point, we have made a fortune, built an empire, not by going wide, but by going very deep into somebody. We take data and we clearly understand who our best prospects are on our buyers, who our best prospects are on sellers primarily, right? And because we've done so much work on the front end to get a very narrow list, and I'm just giving you a real world example of how we do this. We then also know what we're willing to pay. We know the value of a client, of a customer. We know the value of that transaction to us, which it all starts, I think one kind of caveat here is that if you don't know your numbers, you're already losing. You're already behind, right? I mean, if you don't know the numbers, the conversion numbers, how much you're paying for a lead, how many leads it takes to get a listing or a contract, all the way down the line, you're already behind. Because guys like me or others are just going to come in and wipe the floor with you, because we know the numbers so well that we are willing to go way much deeper into a client than you ever will. I'm willing to go, I know that a client is worth to us, $23,000. And so I'm willing to spend whatever, let's just call it $5,000 to acquire a client because the numbers make sense for me. Most people will look at it, and if they don't get, if they can't convert 10 leads, they paid $150 for $1,500. If they can't convert a deal out of that $1,500, they're out. What's the new lead? Let me go do something else. And I'm just sitting there working it. I'm going deeper in all the marketing, all the channels, because I've done all the work on the front that I know the value of the lead. I know exactly who they are. I know what's motivating them. I know exactly where they are in their life. And I'm going so hard at them because they're worth it to me, right? And so you have to understand in today's game, the wider you go, but in my opinion, the wider you go, you are diluting value everywhere, right? You're playing the same game everybody else plays. I say this a lot when I'm out, kind of talking to our group, is that there's just an ocean of mediocrity out there. It's just everywhere. And so the only way to stand out is to do this kind of stuff, to go deep, to understand the value, to be able to have the confidence, right? And the only way you get the confidence is knowing the numbers.
Yeah.
It's very easy to go spend to acquire a customer when you know the value of the customer. Where that gets really scary is when you're just rolling the dice.
And you know what I like about the way you presented it as well is you're not just going deep and know your numbers and you're going hard where most people are giving up. You've actually built a way to go after not just a customer. I think most agents, most brokers are going after any customer. You're going after the very best customer. You're going after the one that you know that you have the highest chance of winning. And I know that you sell this software as well. We can get into it. But you talked about this data that you're going after. And at Closing Table, you said you're going after people in just one of your campaigns that are non-owner occupied, out-of-state owners with vacant property that have equity and some sort of financial or some sort of distress.
Correct.
So five data points that you're stacking. And as an investor or a listing agent, like that is your perfect customer. This person is waiting for someone to solve their problem. And I know the whole room at the time was thinking, man, how many of those could there be out there? Everyone's saying there can't be that many. And we were at Dana Point at the time. You logged in, you pulled it up, and there were 7,500 people in and around Orange County that matched that criteria. So when you talk about going deep, is it fair to say that you're getting the best avatar, the perfect customer, and you're going so hard and so relentless with them that they almost feel like there's no other option and nowhere else to go?
Well, it's that. And then I'll also tell you what it is. If you remember, part of what we do is that shock and awe campaign, like that video mailer.
Yes.
And so that, that's a fairly expensive mailer. That's, that's $22 for me to send that to somebody, where most people are spending 25 cents on a postcard. I'm sending $22 on a FedEx but like we talked about, one thing that gets 100% open rate is a FedEx. And so my confidence level in winning that customer has gone up exponentially, to your point, because I know their circumstances, right? I've gone through the data. I clearly understand. And now I'm able to speak directly to their motivation. And because I'm not trying to mail to, those 7,500, we'll select 1,000. And somebody here watching right now they'll go spend $22,000 to market to 100,000 people. I'll go spend $22,000 to market to 1,000 people. And my closing ratio will go exponentially higher than theirs will. And it's not only that, right? Not only will I do more business and get more revenue out of it, but I will also, the value of my time in trying to process this massive influx of leads that comes in from 100,000 mail pieces at 25 cents a piece, 25 grand, versus these very specific mail pieces. I mean, it has a ripple effect throughout the entire organization, right? So I'm just not of the opinion to go wide. I'm of the opinion I will be omnipresent to those 1,000 people. Everywhere they turn, I will be, right? From that video mailer to Facebook to mobile. I mean, everywhere but that's why I win, is because, and again, it all goes back to the data stacking is a huge component of it. But again, I can't stress enough, that only becomes possible. Well, it's half of it. It only becomes possible to go deep and spend a lot of money when you just know all the other numbers, right? When I know that how many of them it takes to convert, how many of those, what's the open rate? If you go look at an open rate or a response rate on a postcard campaign, it'll be like 0.05%, right? Well, our response rate on this campaign will be 7 or 8%.
Right.
And so it's all math. Once you understand the math, baby, I mean, scaling becomes so easy once you understand the math.
It becomes predictable and something you can bet on, and that's where most people, investors, agents, brokers drop the ball, and it's because no one wants to do the due diligence. Like, due diligence is like one of the least favorite things in business, but it yields the biggest results because you know your numbers, and you can have predictable.
Well, and Sam, here's what I would tell you. Going back to what I said earlier is that you can count on your competition's mediocrity. Go back to what I was just saying, and that's the beauty of this. What we're talking about is not hard. And you can literally count on that 99 out of 100 people just won't do it. So all you have to do in order to be great, to your point, is just step into the things that great people do. And it's not crazy. It's know your math, know the math, know the numbers, take the risk, make qualified decisions, because I can guarantee you that the vast majority of people will never do any of it. So it isn't like you have to go above and beyond. You just got to get in the game, because most people will back away from that.
Right. And it's defining your customer, to understanding the numbers and like you said earlier, which gives you the confidence to take that extra step when you might spend $5,000 for a customer that is worth $23,000 to you.
Right.
Because you've got the numbers down, you've defined who your customer is, and you know what it's worth to get that to get to the finish line with that particular person. So I think it's great, man. And I think a lot of agents out there could be applying a lot of the things that you're talking about. And
it's not hard. I mean, it's not hard. People make it we tell ourselves this kind of stuff is hard. You guys deal with it just like I do. People tell themselves that this stuff is hard because it's kind of like, I say this all the time. People just kind of like to wrap that blanket of mediocrity around them and say, it's too hard for me. Success is this elusive thing. No, it's not at all. I mean, if you will get in the game and surround yourself with people that are playing the game at a higher level, kind of do what they do, understand the math, all the confidence that you were just talking about kind of rises up in you where you're like, man, I get it. It's predictable. I can make these and understand.
Let's talk about surrounding yourself with the right people and how that ties into your event. I mean, I know for sure for myself, I know for you, Kent, we run in the same circles. I know for Kevin, like a big part of where we are in life is because the people we surround ourselves with, because why? Success leaves clues. So many people have attached this ego on them that says, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to figure it out on my own. This is my style. This is how I do things. My successful friends like you and your successful friends, all of us have one common denominator. We're trying to do what other people before us have done that have had the results we want to achieve. And the lineup that you're bringing to Scale and Escape here in San Diego, dude, it's fire, bro. Like, you have some of the most successful entrepreneurs that are out there today influencing change, making tons and tons and tons of money, and giving back and helping people do the same. So why don't you kind of give us a lineup of the speakers? First of all, when it is again? It's June
6th, 7th, and 8th. It's right here in San Diego. And to your point, basically we do 2 events a year. I do a find and flip event in January, and then I do Scale and Escape in June. And the point of these 2 events, it's 2 very different audiences, right? Find and flip, I'm teaching people how to kind of get in the game. But the very things we're talking about are huge, huge issues in business, the way I see it, especially in the real estate industry. And I think it is because there are a lot of people that have not actually scaled their business, right? This business, just like the retail side of it, is filled with hustlers, people that know that they're never going to be broke. They know how to run up and down the street. They know how to make money. They know, but they haven't actually turned the corner, turned it into an actual viable business that is making money for them every month, whether they show up or not. And so that's what this event is about, Scale and Escape. It is about creating options. It's about putting people in the room with our attendees that have done things that most can't even imagine. I've got my friend Jesse Itzler who's coming out, who we've now been friends for a couple of years. Jesse is he wrote Living with a Seal. He's the founder of Marquee Jets. He's the founder of Zyka Water. I just wrote Living with the Monks. I mean, he's a wildly successful entrepreneur. He's married to the founder of Spanx, right? So they are a billionaire family, entrepreneur family, just played an amazingly high level. And he and I became friends a couple of years ago. So he's going to bring, his A game out there and really share his journey. And if you've never heard Jesse speak, I mean, he is an amazing speaker. For those of you that saw Ed Milet speak a few months ago at my Find and Flip, Jesse's right in that same kind of caliber, right? He is an amazing.
Jesse's one of the best speakers I've ever seen, dude. And I'm a seminar junkie. He is good.
He's awesome. He's just got that charisma, and his story's amazing. And you're going to hear about some guy that literally is no better than you and me or anybody watching this. He just is simply relentless. His mind flips where if it's hard, then it's worth doing, which I love.
I love it.
I've got Bedros Keuilian coming. Bedros is the CEO of Fit Body Boot Camp. This is a guy that basically immigrated from the Ukraine and had nothing, and now runs one of the biggest or one of the fastest growing franchises in the world. Amazing, powerful speaker, an amazing story. I just had him on a few weeks ago when he and I did a podcast together. He has got he's a very driven individual and very contagious to be around that. When you see somebody that has built something like what he's built, that particular guy has nothing to do with real estate. It just has to do with, man, this is what it takes to build the life you want to build. Obviously, I've got you coming out there. I've got my brother coming out there who is, one of the partners in Memphis Invest. Like I just said, a company that's flipping 1,000 properties a year. You want to know how you can build and scale a really successful real estate business. I mean, he's going to be there talking about. I've got Sean Terry coming out there, who's built a massively successful real estate education as well as wholesaling business. Holly Williams is a really, really great speaker on syndications, multifamily. I've got Ryan Stewman coming out there, who is, many of you know, is kind of the hardcore closer. This is a guy that's built a social media following. He's taught people how from all their sales process, whether it's been in the mortgage space, whether it's been in the real estate space. It doesn't really matter. This guy's helped thousands of people to really accelerate their game. I've got Justin Colby coming, Mikey Taylor coming. Mikey's a professional skateboarder, all of his life. And about, I guess, probably 3 or 4 years ago, decided he wanted to get into commercial real estate. Now has created an empire as well. I've got Tucker Max coming out, who has built Scribe Media, another really amazing company. Most people know who Tucker is. He is a New York Times best-selling author. And then certainly, last but not least, I've got the one and only Tony Hawk coming out, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
This guy's coming out. He and I have spent a little bit of time together. He's coming out to share. I mean, he's probably one of the most recognizable names in sports out there. I mean, anywhere in the world. And I mean, none of that happened by accident. This guy has built an absolute freaking empire. And I've asked him to come out exactly how he did it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, Mike, the skateboarder, what's impressive about him is, he's big in skate, but he actually was a co-partner or an investor in St. Archer's or something, right?
Mikey Taylor was a co-founder of St. Archer's Brewery. Yep.
Sold that thing for a ton of money. Now he's in multifamily. Like, the guy has got the golden touch. Like, and
again, it's definitely about real estate. But anybody watching, I just want everybody to kind of understand that real estate's the widget. Once you understand the skills of how to scale a business, it applies to anything, right? I mean, there's so many things vertically how you can integrate in real estate, but there's so many other opportunities sitting out there. So it really doesn't matter what business you're in. And that's the reason why I bring in some real estate people, but generally in this particular event, this is all about entrepreneurship, baby. This is about answering that big question on how do I finally scale it to a place where I have the option to escape it from time to time and go do what I should be doing in my life and what I really care about.
I love it, man.
I mean, that lineup is literally one of the best lineups I've seen probably ever. All of those are people I look up to, people I want to be around. You're one of the best in the space. Tell us a little bit about the event. So it's 3 days.
It's 3 days. Yep. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So for anybody that's out of town, Sunday can be the travel day. But basically, the VIP, we have two. We have general admission. We have VIP. VIP is going to get some special sessions on Thursday morning. We'll get started a little early. Then they've got a VIP reception. They have a private reception with each one of the keynote speakers. Jesse, they'll get some time with Tony. They'll get some time with Jesse, get some time with Bedros. The event primarily for everybody else is going to start Thursday afternoon, right after lunch, and go each day up until about 6 p.m. On Thursday Bedros will be keynoting at the end of the day. On Friday, Jesse will, and on Saturday night we'll end with Tony. Like I said, there's a welcome reception for everybody. It's a good time. We're there to have fun. We're there to network. We're there to make sure that everybody's sharing great ideas and has the opportunity to really get a lot of great information. At the end of the day, the whole point of this for me is that there's this massive void, as far as I'm concerned, of people that don't know how to turn the corner, and nobody's teaching them how to do it. Nobody's teaching them how to go from the grinder, the hustler, the person that's just kind of having to do it all, to actually making the shift and becoming that entrepreneur. Because I can tell you, and I know you guys know this very well, in order to become the entrepreneur, in order to become the business owner, a huge part of the hustler has to die.
Yeah.
The person that wants to jump in and do everything and I got it, that has to go away. And that's a huge shift for people. And so this event is meant to trigger that shift and give you the tools, give you the strategies, and give you the roadmap on how to make that happen, not only in real estate, but everywhere.
It's that shift that takes place when you let go, and then what happens after that. Because I think there's two things there, right? It's the first part, which is very challenging, very difficult, was very challenging for me, was the letting go part. And then what's really great is that you get to learn from all these amazing people that have done just unbelievable things in their businesses that will show you how to take it to the next level and what to do, the steps.
Yeah, and they've all been instructed, bring your best stuff. I mean, we're going to talk about, we're definitely going to talk about real estate investing, single family investing. We're going to talk about syndications, multifamily investment. We're going to talk wealth building strategies. We're going to talk about the whole letting go. We're going to talk about the hiring process, the key KPIs that you should be focused on, how to kind of make that shift, how to create those triggers when you find yourself falling back into what comes very natural to us to go be the hustler, and how you have to reposition that mentally, right? There's the mental game is just as important here as the actual tactical game. And so we spent a lot of time mapping out how to accomplish both here, right? People are going to walk out of there with the roadmap. Not only are you going to be fired up, but you're going to understand clearly how to go do it and apply it in your own business.
So people are asking where the link is. I think we put it in the thread. I'm going to add it again right now. Look, I think you told me before we did this, there's less than 100 seats left.
Correct.
So that's not like a scarcity thing. This is going to sell out. The lineup is straight ridiculous. We're going to make sure that the link is in the thread. It is in the thread. We'll add it again in the thread. We'll make it really easy. If you have any questions about the event, feel free to throw me a private DM. If I don't have the answer, I can connect with Kent and his team and get it. You can obviously reach out to any one of us. Let's get you there. Like this is the thing, Kent, and I know that you see this. What's really interesting to me about real estate agents, people that are in the business of getting people to invest in real estate, is most of them don't invest in their own real estate.
Right.
And I've always thought, like, for me, I got into the business as an avenue to acquire more assets and have the insider look, so to speak. So if you want to learn how to get into cash flow properties, syndication, investing, and I'm sure there's going to be talks, and if there's not talks, Ken has a world of resources to help you get the financing for the deals and connect you with people that can help you make it happen. This is the type of event that actually changes the course of your life and your wealth creation. I know it, and I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. This is one of the best. Like, Kent is the gold standard. His company, his family, they not only do it right, they do it the best, and they're going to pull back the curtains and show you how you can do the same. Any closing thoughts on this before we wrap this up, Kent or Kevin?
Kevin, go ahead.
I'm just really excited. I think it's going to be an amazing event. Like, to have that many people at such a high level. Everybody you named is just like unbelievable when it comes to business, what they've accomplished in their lives, in business and in their lives. And it's a place where I'm really excited to get to meet and hang out with all these people and learn from them. And that's what it is. It's about relationships, right? It's about connecting with people that are doing things at a high level. And this is something that we talk about a lot in real estate and, different events, is you always want to be in the room where you're the least smartest person, at least for me. If I'm in a room where I'm the smartest guy, I need to be in a different room. So
Right.
in a place like this, where what we're talking about here, like for me, I'm definitely not going to be the smartest guy there, and that's where I want to be.
Amen, baby. I could not have said that better. I'll tell you that you know, we are all a product of the people we surround ourselves with, and I, part of the reason I do these events, if I'm being, very selfishly, is this is an opportunity for me as well to get around people that are playing at a very high level and to continue to improve. Continue to kind of up my game. This never stops. I hope everybody clearly that's watching this understands that this is a journey. It never ends, right? There's only one way to coast, and that's downhill, period. And
Sure.
so if you're not reaching up, if you're not pedaling harder, if you're not trying to get around people that are playing at a higher level, I think then you're coasting. And so this is a chance. We're putting them all in a room for a couple of days. It's a couple of days that you should absolutely expect a return on your investment. It's a nominal investment. I mean, we're talking about like $200 to come hang out with these people. $500 if it's VIP and we pay for your meals and everything else.
That's pretty much free, bro.
That's
Yeah,
so true.
right. I mean, we are taking care of people, right? This is a big deal. We want everybody to get there, and I want you to get an ROI. You should expect an ROI. But the only way that the ROI is going to happen is get in the room and push yourself to go and do whatever it takes to get there. And I promise you, we won't disappoint you. And guys, I'm really excited to have you guys there. Sam, thanks. I know I called you a month ago and said, hey, I really want you to be a part of this. And I really appreciate you saying yes.
Hey man, I'm flattered and I'm so pumped. I'm a little nervous to be speaking against all these powerhouses, but I'm going to bring the heat and show them what's up. But man, it's an honor, and it's just cool to see things like this come full circle. You know, before Kent knew who I was in rooms watching Kent do his thing, and I just continued. There's a lesson here, folks. I continue to put myself in these right environments. I put myself in the right masterminds. I put myself in front of the right people. And not only do I get to speak on Kent's stage today, but we're talking about doing other deals together. This stuff works, man. And this guy's a giver. He knows how to help people move the needle. And the lineup of speakers is one that for $200, it's almost embarrassing if you don't show up. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that's great. So I'm going to be there. If you come, which you should, make sure you come say hi. Come say hi to Kent. I think Kevin will be there as well. Dude, Kent, thanks for doing this. Maybe we can get you back on for some more trainings in the future. I know the group would love it.
I would love it.
And thank you again, dude.
Thanks
All
so
right,
much,
man. Thanks for having me. See you guys. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.